Hello, everyone, and happy Memorial Day to everyone in the United States. This is Kelly Lee Sappenfield coming to you today to talk to you about uncovering your dark side. And what do I mean by that? Uncovering your dark side is uncovering all the negativity that seats within us that is holding us back. Before I want to talk to you about that, I want to tell you a little bit about myself and about some things I have coming up. I'm Kelly Lee Sappenfield. I'm a fifth generation metaphysician, spiritual teacher, and mentor. And in the month of June, I've got two events that, lucky for you, have actually come to be on Zoom as opposed to be in person. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can join us. You don't have to be in Silicon Valley to join us. And that is on June 28th and 29th. And I'll put the link to the website to where you go to their events page. You scroll down, you find my events, and you can log on. On June 28th, I'll be talking about how you don't have to die to transform. And on June 29th, I'm talking about soul vibration and the evolutionary path of our soul. So if you want to go to eastwestbooks.org and sign up for those, it'll be awesome. Like I said, anywhere you can get an internet connection and get on Zoom, you can join us. So that'll be awesome, right? You don't have to be in Silicon Valley. And so today I want to talk to you about, as I'm putting in the link here, if I can spell, I want to talk to you about uncovering your dark side. And this is so important. Hi, Missy. Tell me where you're joining me from. It's so important to really take notice of what's no longer serving us or what's maybe just there under the surface that's holding us back. We really want to grow. We really want to seek. We really want to live the life of our dreams and get a deeper spiritual connection and use metaphysics to create the life we want. But there's something holding us back. What is that something? Because to move forward, we've got to kind of first uncover that darkness. It's kind of like ripping off the Band-Aid, and the wound is kind of still, not quite so healed because sunlight hasn't reached it. It's had a bandage over it. So when we rip that bandage open, the first thing we see is all the darkness of the wound, right? That the healing needs to be done. And then the sunlight and the vitamin D and all of that gets to that wound and it starts really healing it. And that's what we need to do spiritually and in our human lives, is we need to start uncovering that negativity, that dark side that's lying underneath, right? So that we can do what we need to do to get rid of it. Sometimes it's as easy as saying, I had no idea that was still in my paradigm. I am so done with that, right? And sometimes it takes a little bit of work, but that's okay. Once we uncover it, that's the major part, is uncovering it so it can be healed. Now, how do we uncover it? A lot of times we uncover it because we're journaling and we're like, I really want this. I really want this. Okay, I've been saying I really want this now for 5 years. Why is it not manifesting? And we start journaling about things that we think why it's not manifesting. And all of a sudden we find ourselves writing something and that little light bulb goes off. Ah, right? Or we're in meditation and we say, something is blocking me here. Please show me what is blocking me so that I can clear it and move on. Another way we can do it is, let's take something that a lot of people deal with, and that's weight issues. Let's say I want to lose 10 pounds and I've been wanting to lose the same 10 pounds for over a year. Why can I not lose the same 10 pounds? You can do a burning bowl ceremony and say, okay, angels and guides and spirit and the universe and the divine, I release these 10 pounds. Show me what it is that's keeping these 10 pounds on so that I can release them. There's many ways that we can sit there and we can uncover the darkness. But you have to uncover the darkness. You cannot just push it under the rug and push it under the rug and push it under the rug and expect it to just dissipate and disappear one day, because it's not going to. It's just like anger. When we hold anger within us, we may not feel angry 6 months from now, but when we've ingested that anger into our system, it's still there, it's still underlying. And then when whatever triggered our anger is triggered again, we express our anger twofold or more, right? Because we haven't dealt with it the first time, and it's just been pushed under the rug and it's kind of resonating there in the subconscious. And we don't want that stuff resonating in our subconscious. We want to purge it, we want to get it out, whatever it is, and we want to let the sun shine on it. We want it to heal so that we can really start living our lives to the fullest. Now, you can do this very slowly or very quickly. It's up to you, and it's up to you to determine how much of the metaphysical and the spiritual part you're going to bring into the aspect, or if you're just going to try to work on it on the human side of the aspect. Because if you're just working on it on the human side of the aspect, you've only got 1/3 of the puzzle. You've got to combine the spiritual aspect, the metaphysical aspect, and the human aspect when you rip that bandage off so that you can purge it and it doesn't come back. That's the key. We don't want to rip off the Band-Aid and then put a bunch of toxic chemicals into the wound to where it just festers and festers and festers. We want to rip the bandage off and we want it to heal. We want it to be healed and gone and no scar or anything, and just let it be out of our paradigm. So start looking at yourself and what areas have you really wanted to change, and you're seeking to change. You're seeking to get deeper spiritual connection. You're seeking a better human experience. You're seeking to be more in tune with yourself and to have the career that you want to have, to live where you want to live how you want to live, but what's blocking you? And maybe start just purging, taking a pen and paper and just start purging. Where are my blocks? Where are my blocks? Where are my blocks? And don't think about what you're writing. Don't read what you're writing as you're writing it. Just automatic write it on and on and on and on. What blocks are there for me? Because you really do need to uncover those blocks. When you have a subconscious paradigm resonating there to where it's holding you back. It's holding you back spiritually. It's holding you back financially, in relationships, in your career, in your health, whatever area of your life, if I can speak, right? It's holding you back. You want to shed a light on it so that you can purge it. So let me know where you think your blocks are. Where do you think there's that darkness hiding out in your subconscious that really needs to be uncovered, that really needs to have the light, no matter how much you want to shed the light on it? And I know there's things that happen to all of us that we would love to just push under the rug and forget. We have all had those experiences in life. It's like, I just want to forget it. I want to move on. I don't even want to think about it. And that works in the short term. But in the long term, there's that energy in our subconscious that's holding us back. There's that darkness, there's that negative vibration that is holding us back. And we have to uncover it. And sometimes those wounds are really, really raw. And sometimes those wounds, you're like, really? I was carrying around this for all these years? But you have to uncover the root cause. Because when you uncover the root cause of that wound, of that darkness, of that paradigm, then you can fix it. And a lot of us, let's take money for instance, a lot of us, those dark energies in our paradigm were not put there by us. It was put by those that loved us, our parents, our grandparents, our aunt and uncles, those around us that were adults when we were little, and they would talk negatively about money, or they would talk about people being filthy rich. Well, who wants to be filthy, right? Or money is the root of all evil. No one wants to be evil. Or all money's dirty, right? So or you're only good if you work hard and you earn an honest dollar at an honest job. And there are a lot of paradigms, and they just seeded into our subconscious as small children around money. And we get to be as an adult, and we don't realize we have those. But if you have someone really close to you, especially right now, since we're all kind of sheltering in place, if you have someone living with you and you can say, you know what, every time I start talking about money, can you pay attention to the adjectives I put with it? Do I say that people are filthy rich? Do I say that money is the root of all evil? Do I say, oh, those greedy, or no one should have money, everyone, whatever it is about money. If you can have them pay attention, and I'm just using this as an example, if you can have them pay attention to what the adjectives are that you're using around money or around whatever that area of your life that there's some subconscious block to, then that will really open those doors. When you have someone actively listening to you, they're not going to stop you when you're talking. They're not going to say anything to you at the time. They're just going to take note and just kind of take stock, and maybe on a little pad of paper, keep it secret from you for a few days, and just kind of write down the adjectives that you use. And then after a few days, they'll hand it to you. And if your issue is money, have them listen in about you paying bills. Do you joyfully pay bills? Are you grateful for paying bills? Or are you like, oh, I have to log into my checking account. I have to pay the bills. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to even see what my checking account balance is, right? Look at that energy, because I'm sorry, my beagle has allergies. Um. Anyway, so it's okay, Gypsy. It's okay. It's okay, Gypsy. Sorry about that. Like I said, she has allergies, and it is allergy season, right? A lot of us have allergies. Yeah, it's okay, baby. So think about those negative paradigms you have around the situation, and we all have them. I grew up in a family to where when I was little, money was no object. But then by the time I hit senior high school, all of a sudden money was an object. And my parents had to file bankruptcy. And a lot of their difference in the way they talked and where it's dealt with money and the events that occurred at home because of money and everything really, really seeded into my subconscious. And I didn't know that for years. I didn't know that I had this fear, subconscious fear, of putting my woo woo self out there because someone might get offended and try to sue me, like happened with my dad. So, whatever it is that's blocking you in any way, look at what it is how you speak about it. What triggers you? Like, if anyone does this, it sets me off. What are those big triggers that you know you have? Why do you have those triggers? Now, I'm not talking about one thing that really makes me mad is when someone does something against an animal or a child or someone that is disabled in any way. I'm not talking about those type of triggers. I'm talking about the triggers that you go from normal operating to where you're either over here in complete freeze mode or you're in complete flight mode, right? It so triggers you. You go to one of the end of the paradigm to the other end of the paradigm. You cannot keep an even keel calm. We all have those triggers. The key is when we recognize we have those triggers, we find that root cause. We uncover that darkness and say, why am I being triggered? So that you're not triggered in the future. Because the worst thing that could happen, I'm sure most of you, would be that you are in public somehow or at work and you get triggered unconsciously and blow up. How's that going to look, right? So you really want to start thinking about all those things. Like I said, there was things that growing up, yeah, okay, we had good times, we had bad times, as every family does, but I didn't realize a lot of that stuff was seeding into my unconscious paradigm until I was an adult. And then as I became in my late 30s, after I had my first near death experience, and my guides and angels are kind of like, okay, why are you not putting yourself out there as the metaphysician you are? When I came back and I was doing my healing work, I realized a lot of it was, if I put myself out there, there may be someone that doesn't believe or doesn't agree with my views. And so will try to take me down and sue me and destroy my family. Because that was the unconscious paradigm I had from my dad being sued when I was 11 years old in junior high school. So think about it. Think about those things that, as an adult, it's like, okay, we had good times, we had bad times. Or my parents had a rocky marriage, so what about their marriage that I brought forward in my relationships that maybe are not serving me? Um, Maybe I had someone in my family that didn't believe in working for the man. Have you ever heard of that phrase? And so every time you try to get a job, you self sabotage it. Instead of saying, oh, they wanted me to be, they're talking about becoming an entrepreneur, they believe in entrepreneurship. You took on their negative energy about their boss or the company they work for. But instead of having an adult's mind, we heard that conversation as a child, you just take on the energy of the conversation. Do you understand what I'm talking about here? So that when we take on that negativity, that darkness, and we put it into our subconscious paradigms, a lot of times we have no clue they're even there. Now, some things maybe happened last year, maybe happened 6 weeks ago. And you're like, I've been trying to push that under the rug, and I need to stop trying to push that under the rug. I need to just deal with it and move on. But if it's something from your childhood or something from 20 years ago, That makes a huge difference. And in meditation, this can really change quickly because you ask to be seen the true scene of whatever the root cause to a problem was, and you ask to go back and relive in a meditation that scene, then all sorts of things can be uncovered because you're not reliving it as a 2-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old or even a 25-year-old. You're reliving it with your adult mind. And I'm not saying 25-year-olds are not adults, but there's a difference between a 25-year-old and a 50-year-old and a 75-year-old. That's just facts of life. So when you go through that in a meditation, you can really see all of a sudden, oh my gosh, what I thought of all these years happened didn't happen. Something completely different happened, but in my child's eyes, in my child's thought process, I perceived it a certain way and I took it on. And I have literally seen people that had no relationship with their father go through one of these meditations and actually realize their father didn't do what they thought they did all those years ago when they were a little bitty kid. And then luckily the father was still alive and they were able to go and talk to the father, actually talk to them, because all that she knew is she didn't like her father. She was afraid of her father. She didn't like her father. She didn't want to be around her father by herself. She could not consciously recall why she felt this way about her father. So we did one of these meditations and she was like, oh my gosh, this is why. She was able to go talk to her father, and for the rest of his years, they were able to have a fantastic relationship. And that was healed. And she was healed. And she every time she tried to have a relationship with a man, she wasn't putting that unconscious fear of her father onto that person and letting it trickle on down. So we need to uncover the darkness. There's no easier way to say it. It's stuff that is no longer serving you. It doesn't need to be there. And the sun needs to shine on it. It needs the vitamin D. It needs the light. It needs the air to heal. Now, if you would love to talk to me one-on-one about uncovering the darkness, about this type of meditation or anything like that, private message me and say, yes, I would love to talk to you about uncovering my darkness. Or I'll put in the link, a direct link to where you can get a complimentary 30-minute session with me to where we can really look into and I start you uncovering your darkness. Because this is one of the first key steps. It's not that we're living in the past. It's not that we're doing any blaming of anybody, because no one's at fault here. The paradigms you put into your head as a kid, they weren't put into your head as a kid as mean-spirited, I'm going to make you believe this way. It was someone operating out of their own vibration, and you just absorbed it as a certain way. Now, maybe your parents totally did not believe what you believed as a kid, but you've got a lot of their thinking in your paradigm and you need to purge it. You need to go through and look at that darkness and uncover that darkness and see where it is not serving you. Because like I said, when my dad got sued when I was in junior high school and they had to file bankruptcy, our complete family dynamic around money completely changed. I was 11 years old. All I knew were certain bits and pieces of it that my parents let me know, right? Or that I overheard them speaking. It wasn't as though I knew the whole picture, but then I would take it in. And then I find myself in my 30s going, oh my gosh, if I put myself out there, I'm going to be sued and my family's going to be ruined financially. So when we uncovered those paradigms and we uncovered that darkness and we start working spiritually and metaphysically and on the human aspect all together, that's when we can start really creating the life we want. Because you can say you want to lose that last 10 pounds all you want to, but if you're unconsciously blocking yourself from it, and it may not be, okay, I know every night I go and I grab a bowl of ice cream and then I complain I can't lose my last 10 pounds, then it's not so much covered up. It's like maybe skip the ice cream for a few days, a week, right? Eat some fruit instead or something. But most of the time, it's there. It is an unconscious paradigm. And that's why when you actually start to uncover it and you actually start to look deeper and deeper into, okay, what is the root cause of this? You have those aha moments. Now, hopefully for you, my biggest wish for you is that a lot of those aha moments are like, really? This has been blocking me all these years? Really? Because there will be some of them that are like that. It's like, I cannot believe that that is the root cause. That's just too stupid. That can't be the root cause. And you'll almost argue with yourself because there's no way that can be the root cause, right? But at the same time, if spirit's showing you through meditation or through journaling or automatic writing, that's the root cause. It's the root cause. Purge it and move on. Now, some root causes are a lot deeper and a lot uglier, and the wound's a lot greater. Some of them are, you got a splinter in your finger. And some of them, you may have a pretty big open wound that needs some serious healing. Either way, it's possible. No one has to be stuck in old paradigms. The way we move forward is throwing them out with the trash so that we can free up all that energy for all the stuff we want to bring in, right? It's kind of like your closet. Think of your bedroom closet. If you open the doors praying that something doesn't fall and hit you on the head, or do you open your doors and there's lots of free space, everything's neat and organized. When you want a certain shirt, you know exactly where to go to pull it and where to get those pants and where to get those shoes or those earrings or whatever it is, or that tie with that certain jacket if you're a gentleman. Whatever it is, you can find it, right? There's a difference. And I tell most people, go to your closet, because if you look inside your closet, you're kind of looking into the paradigms within your mind. Is there a lot of junk feeling just kind of junked around? And it takes you 10 minutes every morning to find an outfit that matches because your closet is such a mess? Or is it free and clear to where if you go to online right now, right? Because we're not going to the stores to shop, but if you go online right now and you find an outfit that you really like, you have room for it in your closet. If you see a new pair of shoes on sale, you have room for them in your closet because Those that no longer fit, those that have gotten stained and holes and rips and whatever are gone. So think about the next time you go and you're dealing with relationships, you're dealing with your health, you're dealing with your finances, your career, your spirituality, whatever aspect of your life you're dealing with. When you push comes to shove and you have to sit down and deal with that aspect of your life, are you the person with opening the closet doors hoping that you don't get something hit on your head? Or are you the person opening your closet doors going, oh, okay, this may not be the funnest thing, kind of like taxes. Most of us don't enjoy doing our taxes, but we do them anyway and we get them done. Or is this, I haven't paid the IRS in 5 years and they found out. And so now I've got to deal with my taxes. And I'm going to have 5 years of not only of back taxes, but of penalties and of fines. And how in the world am I going to afford this? And because I haven't been dealing with it for 5 years now, because I just decided I didn't like to do taxes or whatever reason you gave for not, you see the difference in the energy? You want to get to the point to where whatever aspect of your life you're dealing with, that you want to change, that you want to manifest into the aspect of your life that you want, then you don't want to be the person going, I haven't dealt with this in 5 years and now I've got this massive thing to deal with. Or if I open the closet door, am I going to get a concussion? You want to be the person that says, okay, this may not be the funnest thing in my life, but I've got to do it. So I might as well do it and get it over with and be grateful that I can do it, that I'm capable of doing it, right? I have the cognitive abilities to do it. I have the physical abilities to do it, whatever it is, and then move on. We all have those dark paradigms. So don't think that you're alone. Don't think that you're the only one. Oh my gosh, I'm the only one that's screwed up when it comes to relationships, or screwed up when it comes to my health or finances, or my career's a hot mess now because of COVID, or whatever it is. You're not the only one going through this. And you don't have to go through it alone. That's why I offered the complimentary calls, so that we can start uncovering where the darkness is so that it can be purged. The light can shine, it can heal, you can heal, and then you can go to the next step. You can go to the step of not only learning the metaphysics, but getting deeper and closely more connected spiritually, and then taking those two connections and creating the life that you really want. You can plan that life that is light filled, that brings you joy, that you get up and you're inspired and you can't wait for the next day. But if you're stuck in yesterday's paradigm of who knows who's making, then there's always going to be those blocks that when you come up against, you can't push through on your own because you don't know what's stopping you. All you know is you get to that point and then you never get any further. And I've also heard people say, well, it's because metaphysics doesn't really work. The law of attraction doesn't really work. The law of intention doesn't really work. The law of polarity doesn't really work. All that's, I've tried that and none of it worked. None of it worked because you got to that block and you didn't realize you got to a block and you didn't heal the block, you didn't push back the block, you didn't disseminate the block. Instead, it just stopped you in your tracks once again. like I said, with the law of attraction, it has the word action in it. And the law of polarity, you've got this side and you've got this side. If you're subconsciously all the way over here on a scale of 1 to 10, you get to a 3 and someone's thrown a roadblock down subconsciously in your mind as a kid that you've taken on as a false paradigm, you never get past 3 until you realize I've been carrying around this silly false paradigm in my head all these years because maybe Uncle so and so or Aunt so and so or my cousin or someone said something. I can tell you one of my false paradigms that took me a long time to get over. There was a little boy that sat behind me in 2nd or 3rd grade. And there was these projector machines that we had back in the 70s that the teachers could write on and they'd project things up on the screen. But my art teacher had us stand and she projected the shadow of our profile onto it. She would draw out our profile, then we had to cut it out. And then in our profile, we had to list certain characteristics about us. And then they were going to be hung up for like back to school night with the parents and all, all that stuff that goes on in elementary. Anyway, so I was not a very good speller, which granted, I had a speech problem as a child. And so a lot of times teachers would be like, well, sound it out, say it and sound it out to help you learn to spell it. Well, having the speech problem didn't help in that regard, right? So I didn't spell really well when I was young. And I turned around and asked him to help me spell the word pretty. Now, he didn't know what I was writing. I could have been writing a note to pass along to a girlfriend for all he knew. But he started laughing at me, and who was I to think I was pretty? And, I'm not pretty, and all this other stuff, right? I was a little girl. Guess what that did? Hit me square in between the eyes, right? Who was I to think I was pretty? Right? Why would I ever think I was pretty? I'm not pretty. And I took that on. And it wasn't until I had been married a long time before I could even accept someone saying that to me, let alone believing it myself, that I maybe looked halfway decent one day. There are weird, false paradigms in our subconscious that we don't even think about. I didn't think about that little boy making fun of me for asking him how to spell the word pretty until I was in decades older. And I started doing a lot of spiritual work on myself. And that came up, and I'm like, really? Like, his opinion should have mattered that much to me? Who was he to tell me that to begin with, right? Instead of just saying, oh, this is how you spell it and go on about the day, why did he attack me? Now, some people will give different reasons, and it doesn't matter what the reason is. It makes no reason, and there's nothing to do with what the reason is and why he would have said that, or someone said something to you. The fact is, for whatever reason, it had such an impact when it was said that you cause it to be a paradigm in your subconscious. It just hits it and it's there like it's seaming it in. And so finding those paradigms that do not serve you, that are totally false, are not worth the 5 seconds that of when the time occurred that created the paradigm. Once you start finding those and you start pulling them out, you start healing. You start healing spiritually, you start healing physically, you start healing mentally. Your attitude is better, you're happier, you're enjoying life more, you're more eager to go out and see the world and experience it. You're not introverted anymore to the point to where, well, if some little boy in early elementary school said I wasn't pretty, then that must mean, phew, right? No, uncover that darkness, uncover it, set it free, let it heal. Like I said, it doesn't matter who said it, how it was said, why it was said, none of that matters. It's not, he probably doesn't, if I ever ran into him again, he probably doesn't even remember saying it. He'd probably feel ashamed if I brought it up, like, did I do that? Did I say that? I'm so sorry, right? It makes no difference. He didn't say it so that I would have an issue about my looks for years. Just like my mom's twin brother didn't threaten to beat up every guy that talked to her in high school, to where she thought every time she talked to a guy, when she talked to him once, he disappeared like the plague. And she didn't know what she did wrong. She didn't know what she was saying that was wrong. And her self-confidence went to zilch when it came to interacting with men that were not in the family. She didn't find out what her twin brother was going around and doing behind her back until she was in her mid-20s. And she wanted to kill him when she found out. So he didn't do it to destroy her self-confidence. He didn't do it to hurt her. He thought he was being the protective brother. Oh, I know who you are. We're in the same grade, and I'm a guy, and I know who you are. You're not getting anywhere near my sister. She's my twin sister. You're not getting anywhere near her. If you talk to her again, God only knows what my uncle said to her. But you get the point. My uncle did not do that to be mean and vicious to my mother. Now, when my mother was in her journey to passing about 11 years ago, my mom's twin would come up to the hospital every single day and see her. And I don't know how we got on the subject, because I had never heard this story in my entire life. And I don't know how we got on the subject, but all of a sudden my uncle looks at my mom, he goes, you know, I never really meant to hurt you when I would do that to you in high school. And at first my mom didn't know what he was talking about, and she, you know, and everything. Well, and finally he said, you know, when I would make sure none of the guys would talk to you in high school. My mom whipped her head around and read him the riot act up to one side and down the other and everything. And she said, you're lucky you're my twin, because I don't know if I could have forgiven you if you hadn't been. And she was like, but I know you did it out of love, and that's why I didn't kill you. And she giggled about it and stuff, because they were in their 70s at the time. But at the same time, I'm seeing him going, really? To my uncle? You didn't realize what? when she would come home crying because some boy would run the other way down the school hallway, right? Away from her when she tried to say hi to him after they had talked once. So whatever that paradigm is and wherever it was set, you can't blame the person. You can't go into that negativity yourself. What you have to work on is finding the root cause and purging it. This isn't, it wasn't my fault, so I'm going to blame someone. It is, okay, this happened. I took it in this way. I didn't take it in this way because it was my fault to take it in that way. I took it in this way, period. End of sentence. Now let me purge it. Now let me get rid of it. Now let me let it go. Let me uncover those dark sides, those dark bits, those false paradigms, and uncover it. And if it's a big wound, it may take a little bit longer to heal. But there's going to be a lot that you uncover that are not big wounds. So, like I said at the beginning, let's uncover your dark side. Go in, meditate, automatic write, journal, get help by someone that you're around, a friend, a loved one, whoever you're around that can say, you can say, hey, when I'm talking about my health or when I'm talking about relationships or finances or whatever it is, can you just notice the adjectives that I use when I'm talking about those things? And don't tell me right away, don't interrupt me or anything, just take notes of them. And then, in a few days or a week or so, let me know what they are. Because the adjective I'm using unconsciously in my speech every day, and I don't necessarily catch it. But when you do that, and then you ask for help if you need it by a coach or a mentor or someone that can help you uncover those dark paradigms, help you transition through them and clear them out of your energy field. And then when you say, this is my goal, this is the life I want, this is the spiritual connection I want, this is what I want to learn so that I can manifest, so that I can live knowing the metaphysical principles so that everything doesn't have to be a struggle. And I understand how I am bringing things in, how through the laws of intention and attraction and polarity and action and all the other divine and universal laws, how I've been unconsciously using them, but now I'm going to consciously use them to create the life I want. And you can put in the messages here on the live, me, and I'll private message you and we can set something up. Or you can private message me and say, I would really like to set something up. Or you can click in the comments that say, free call. It'll say acuity scheduling, and you can get the complimentary 30 minutes with me, and we can start uncovering those blocks. We can start uncovering that dark side. And don't forget to mark your calendars. June 28th and 29th, I will be on Zoom via eastwestbooks.org. June 28th is You Don't Have to Die to Transform, and I talk about my first near-death experience and how it took that for me to actually own who I was. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to have to go through the health issues and literally lying on a table to transform and have the life you really want. So that's on June 28th. And then on June 29th, it's Soul Vibration and the Evolutionary Path of Your Soul. where we go in and I talk about the evolution of consciousness and how we communicate and love in accordance with the vibration our soul's on. So I really hope this helped with you starting to uncover your darkness. I think, and I hope that you're going to start seeing a lot of ahas and light bulbs go off, where you are actually saying, you'll hear yourself say something, or you'll see yourself doing something, maybe eating that next bowl of ice cream, right? And saying, okay, maybe if I put the bowl of ice cream away, right, then maybe I can work on my health a little bit better. If that's those 10 stubborn pounds, right? So I hope this helps. I hope you have a fabulous evening and always, always, always expect miracles. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.